This video is brought to you by PrizePicks. There are two things I wanted to talk about that were kind of fallouts from what happened at practice yesterday that didn't really fit into the practice video, but maybe fit more into a video for today before joint practice or whenever you get to catch this, right? But the Browns have two players that the fan base does not like, right? One for a lot of deserved reasons in Deshaun Watson, and the other one is Jeudy. Now, I think the Browns as a team, they need Jeudy a lot more than they need Deshaun Watson, obviously. But both of these guys have to be here this year. Deshaun Watson, because of the contract, can't really do anything with him. He has to be here this year, is what it is. And Jeudy, because the team still needs him, right? Now, let's start with Jeudy, because I think Jeudy's the most interesting person to talk about. Jeudy had a 1,200-yard season his first year in Cleveland, which was the best season of his career. He followed that up with a 600-yard season, which was by far the worst season of his career. So far, we have seen a career high from Jeudy in year one and a career low from Jeudy in year two. And that means that people should probably be at a place with Jeudy where it's like, okay, let's just see what happens in year three, right? That's where fans would normally be with somebody if they were in that situation, right? One good year, one bad year. Let's see what year three is. Right, that's where we were with like guys like Baker Mayfield back in the day, Odell Beckham, right? One good year, one bad year. Let's see what year three is. But that's not where a lot of fans are. A lot of fans are done with Jeudy. And what I think is interesting about this is it doesn't really go along the lines that you would think of, right? Obviously, there are people who are Sanders fans who do not like Jeudy. Because the whole controversy that happened last year with Jeudy and Shedeur Sanders on the sideline, people think there's actual animosity there, that Jeudy dropped passes from Shedeur to purposely make him look bad. He's been made one of the public enemy number ones of people who really, really want Shedeur to succeed. He has been seen as an obstacle to that, right? But that's not the only people who don't like Jeudy, right? Jeudy came to Cleveland, and the biggest thing when Jeudy came to Cleveland that I thought he was going to get here was a clean slate that he needed, because he was hated in Denver, right? The people in Denver hated him. And the reason this is some reasons that are in Jeudy's control and other reasons that are just not, right? The hate that came from Denver came from the fact that like better wide receivers were drafted after him, right? So that was a point of contention. That was what was not in Jeudy's control to a point, right? Jeudy cannot control the fact that Justin Jefferson was just way better than him. He might want to think he can control that, but that's just how things played out, right? But what Jeudy could have controlled was his reaction to that. And what happened is that he kept fueling that hatred of him by reacting to it. And it got to a point in Denver to where he had to go. So he gets traded to Cleveland. And immediately you can tell it's a much better environment for him because he doesn't have to deal with being hated. And that first year goes by and he's not hated. He's actually put in a place of empowerment here in Cleveland. We start giving him leadership positions. We trade away Amari Cooper because of him. And things start to go well with Jeudy. And then last season happens. And it's not as intense as it was in Denver. I don't think Browns fans hate Jeudy to that point. I think Sanders fans might have more of a beef with him, but Browns fans don't really have too much of a beef with Jeudy other than like he's kind of annoying and he drops passes, right? Like, it's regular annoyance with a player who has the problems that Jerry Jeudy has. And this year, we're kind of at this interesting tipping point because depending on how this season plays out, we could end up at the same exact place with Jerry Jeudy that Denver was, where it's like, you got to get rid of him because he is basically engaged with the criticism so much that it's become completely toxic and he has to leave Cleveland, right? And I think that's where a lot of people are because, like, every time I talk about Jerry Jeudy, somebody's like, we should trade him. But when you look at this roster, the Browns still need Jerry Jeudy. That's what makes him interesting, right? Yeah, you got Casey Concepcion, who has looked great in training camp. Denzel Boston has looked great in training camp. But Jerry Jeudy, more than people think, is probably going to be the glue to that whole wide receiver room because he's the only veteran there, right? Like, if you're a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, who we're going to get to in just a second here, that's the guy that you're going to trust on third down. And for good reason. Jerry Jeudy is a experienced NFL player who knows more than these rookies and will probably make the right decision when it comes to what route he's supposed to run or what option he takes on a third and short that the quarterback can trust more, right? And to be fair to Jerry Jeudy and Deshaun Watson, it seems like they have decent chemistry together. So, like, the Browns still need Jerry Jeudy. And the interesting thing with Jerry Jeudy is I think the less you need Jerry Jeudy, the more you like Jerry Jeudy, right? The problem last year with Jerry Jeudy was not just that he was a disappointment. It was that the Browns desperately needed him to carry a subpar wide receiver room. And he was a horrific disappointment. The Browns needed Jerry Jeudy way too much last year. And that broke down in the ways that it breaks down because Jerry Jeudy does some things extremely well. Yards after catch, he does that extremely well. His route running, he does that extremely well. His releases, I mean, he can be nasty off the line of scrimmage. We've seen it. I pulled up the clips, right, of Jerry Jeudy just cooking guys on the line of scrimmage. The problem with Jerry Jeudy is that if the wind blows too hard in the stadium, he might not catch the ball, right? And what I mean by that is it's too easy for Jerry Jeudy to not catch the ball. He doesn't catch through contact well, right? This has been well known about Jerry Jeudy for a very long time. And if you make the catch hard, right, if you give it any level of variance, he tends to be a much worse catcher of football than average, which becomes very frustrating because we know Jerry Jeudy can be dominant. We've seen Jerry Jeudy have a game where he breaks records, right? What he did against Denver, we've seen Jerry Jeudy be that. But we also know that Jerry Jeudy has these frustrating limitations that will prevent him from being that kind of guy on a regular basis. So when that guy is your number one wide receiver, that guy's going to make you furious. But if that guy is instead of your number one receiver, your number two or your number three option, right? Harold Fannin, Casey Concepcion, then Jerry Jeudy. Like if we're asking Jerry Jeudy to be Rashad Bateman, then we're going to be much happier with Jerry Jeudy. Then the stuff that Jerry Jeudy doesn't do well is going to be much better. Like think about where this wide receiver room was last year. Last year, the Browns were considering giving Deontay Johnson a job because they had no other options at wide receiver. Now, I don't know for a fact. Let me look this up right now, actually, and see if Deontay Johnson is in the NFL. Deontay Johnson is not in the NFL. And you could tell that when you watched him at camp last year that he probably wasn't going to be in the league, even though he looked like one of the better receivers at Browns camp. That's how bad it was last year, right? That like we were seriously contemplating whether Deontay Johnson should not just be on the team, but get some targets, like a lot of them. That's how bare the coven was at wide receiver. And it only got worse during the season. Cedric Tillman got hurt. Jamari Thrash got cut. A bunch of stuff happened. Didn't end well for this team. The Browns desperately needed Jerry Jeudy, and when you need Jerry Jeudy is when Jerry Judy's going to let you down the most. Now, if you look at this wide receiver room and the pass catcher situation in general, we need Jerry Jeudy much less, which I think is better for Jerry Jeudy and the Cleveland Browns. It puts you in a situation to hate him less, right? Because maybe we don't need you to be the spectacular catch guy. Denzel Boston's going to do that. Okay, who's going to be the guy that gets the dirty work, underneath stuff, catch some tough balls, run through some tackles? We don't need you to do that anymore. We got Casey Concepcion. What we need you to do, run some intermediate routes, get open, get some good releases. We can move you around a lot. It puts you in a situation to appreciate Jerry Jeudy a lot more. Now, speaking of appreciation, I want to talk about Deshaun Watson and the awkwardness that is going to be playing Deshaun Watson when fan opinion of him is so critically low. But first, I got to thank my sponsor, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 sports app. The app is really easy to use for player picks. Just pick more or less for a few player stats and lock in your lineup. That's it. Rather just pick teams, well, PrizePicks has that now too. Just pick the winner, spread, or total in any game or fight. PrizePicks is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Plus, you can even follow me on the app at Quinn_C and tell my picks with one click and follow your friends too. Speaking of my picks, here they are. Myles Garrett over 15.75 sacks. 16's been his baseline the last few years. I'd be very surprised if he goes to LA and that number drops, given that he's going to see more passing attempts, given that LA's offense is better than what the Browns have been. Quincy Judkins, 924 yards. They had two really good picks for Quincy here, 6 touchdowns or 924 yards. I feel comfortable taking more on both, but 1,000 yards feels like a safer bet for Quincy. I think he's going to have a big year this year. Carson Schlesinger, 2.25 sacks. I'm saying more. Remember, Mike Rutenberg likes to blitz his linebackers a lot more than the previous defensive coordinator the Cleveland Browns had. Also, Carson Schlesinger is probably going to have to get involved as a sack producer to make up for the hole that they're going to have to make up for Myles Garrett. And then Shedeur Sanders starting more than 7.5 games. I think he'll be the starter, play about 8 games or more this year. But that's my picks for this season. Best of all, play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. Just use the promo code HMA when you sign up. Again, that's your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win when you use the promo code HMA. PrizePicks has switched up their offer. There's no better time to join, lock in, and win that first lineup. So Deshaun Watson's going to play in a preseason game on Saturday, and everybody is anticipating that he's going to get booed. And when he plays during the regular season, there is an anticipation that he's going to get booed, right? And I'm sure think pieces will be written, essays will be made. People will have a lot to say about that dynamic because I don't think it's going to end. I think it's going to drag on just long enough to get kind of annoying, right? I think when it happens in the preseason opener, we're going to be like, yeah, well, we understand. When it happens week 1, if he's the starter, we're going to go, yeah, well, we understand. Well, not week 1, but like week 3. If it's like week 8 and the fans are still booing him at home, then we're going to be like, all right, we get it. We're going to be tired of it, right? But as long as Deshaun Watson's out there, this is a dynamic that can happen. Because Deshaun Watson has been uniquely rejected by Cleveland Browns fans, right? And that isn't really going away, right? Browns fans have rejected Deshaun Watson for a number of reasons. Some of these compounding, right? There are the cases that he's involved with off the court, off the field, right? The 30 cases of sexual assault and or harassment accusations that he has on his name, which make people really uncomfortable with him being a member of the Cleveland Browns. And that was always there. And then there's been the contract, which is another layer, right? It's one thing if Deshaun Watson wasn't good and wasn't worth the trade. It's another thing when we gave the guy the most guaranteed money anybody's ever gotten and gotten the least out of it, right? Like that contrast of the most guaranteed money ever and the least guarantees you've ever gotten from a player is stark, right? Even though fans aren't the ones paying out the guarantee. When you give a guy a fully guaranteed contract, you are saying to that fan base and selling to that fan base that this guy is a no-brainer. He's going to be great. And fans take that signaling and then they watch what they saw with Deshaun Watson. And at no point did it feel like any dollar of that $230 million that they gave Deshaun Watson guaranteed was worth it. And then you deal with the media element of this, right? The media constantly bringing up the fact that this is so bad and this is another embarrassing thing for the Cleveland Browns. And then this is $230 million and constantly bringing up the contract and in the cases as well, right? The embarrassment piles up. And ultimately what Deshaun Watson has become over the last few years is an emblem of embarrassment for the city of Cleveland. That's why Deshaun gets booed. Because him being here is embarrassing to the city. You can make an argument that that makes perfect sense. You can make an argument that's unfair. But I'm just telling you what it is. He is a symbol of something that is just inherently embarrassing to this team. Some people are embarrassed that he's on the team, given his situation. Some people are embarrassed at the money that this team gave him. Some people are embarrassed about the draft compensation they gave up to get him. Some people are embarrassed about how much they believed in this guy and how much he let them down. If you can sum up Deshaun Watson's run here in Cleveland, it's embarrassment. And when you force Browns fans to confront that embarrassment by putting Deshaun Watson out there as a starter, you're going to get a volatile reaction because the fan base would like to forget that this embarrassment happened. Like most people, right? If you embarrass yourself, the thing you want to do is just move on, right? Let's just move on. Let's get away from it. You know, depending on what level the embarrassment, the more drastic you have to do to move on. But in general, you embarrass yourself, you just want to move on from that moment. But Deshaun Watson being on this roster does not allow Browns fans to move on from that embarrassment. It makes us have to stew in that embarrassment, which makes people furious, which is why they boo. And this is why I don't think the booing is going to change. Unless Deshaun Watson is playing so well that this is no longer embarrassing, which quite frankly, I don't even know if it's possible. The booing is going to happen. So how do you manage, if you're the Browns, a football team whose home team is inclined to boo the team? I think eventually people will just get tired of it and just let it go, because they don't want to boo the home team all the time. But this is going to be a thing if he starts at the beginning of the year. And it's going to be embarrassing, which is going to make this even worse. The Browns have two problems here, right, when it comes to two players. One player is not liked but really needed, but that can be fixed. Jerry Jeudy does not embarrass Browns fans. Jerry Jeudy just makes us mad because he does some shit that's furious, right? So that's one level of it. The other level of it is Deshaun Watson, who does legitimately embarrass this fan base. And that, a little bit harder to get rid of. I wanted to talk about it because I think that concept is interesting, why players are hated and why some hatred is just stronger than others. And really break down, you know, because it's easy to say, oh, the Browns are going to boo Deshaun Watson because he's not good. But I think it's deeper than that, right? I think when you talk to people about it, it's deeper than that. And I think it all boils down to embarrassment with Deshaun Watson. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.